Hello Inklings, I'm Bianca and welcome back to my channel. I'd like to begin by showing respect to and acknowledging the Whadjuk Noongar people, elders past and present, the traditional owners and custodians of the land I'm filming this video on today. So it's 2022, it's a new year, and I wanted to try something new because this year is going to be very different for me. So that is why I kind of wanted to combine a bit of a 2022 review, talk about some of the things that worked for me, some things that didn't, and then also new things I want to try out this year. And I'll be doing quarterly planning from now on. This is one of the main things that I wanted to change in regards to my videos. Doing monthly TBRs and wrap-ups on YouTube was just too big of a commitment for me, especially with how much I actually end up reading, and I just wasn't interested in them anymore. I'm not interested in them anymore. I stopped doing wrap-ups. I eventually stopped doing my monthly TBR, although I actually did film my December TBR and then thought that I edited and uploaded it, but turns out I didn't, which just kind of shows how not excited I am for those kinds of videos, and doing them every single month just got really exhausting. So the theme for 2022 is just to be kinder to myself and doing things that actually work for me and my lifestyle. So that will kind of be part of the way I'm going to change my planning for the year. In 2021, my planners started off with just a normal, regular, pretty straightforward planner. It has months and a week to a page, so it's divided up, and then there's a small space for notes. For a while this worked really well for me until it didn't. The daily pages started being a bit too small. I started like separating them into two, trying to make a plan, because before that I was used to bullet journaling most of the time and having as much space as I wanted to write whatever I wanted to write. So then that resulted in me picking up an actual bullet journal again, and I think I picked this up in May, and I tore out a bunch of pages and then probably started using it again in August, and then mostly using it for full page collections, habit trackers, yoga trackers. I just really enjoyed having the freedom of being able to write on a full page and not needing to worry about space. And then in addition to that, I also had a reading journal. So this one was the most artsy for me. I had a lot of fun. This was really therapeutic. I really enjoyed doing the spreads. I might do like a full flip through video of this at some point if I get the time. So it was very colorful. I had a lot of fun trying out different styles. I really liked this Olivia Rodrigo theme that I did in July. It was fun. I loved it, but what happened with this was that I started it late into the year, and then I was basically behind pretty much the rest of the year playing catch up. So I ended up literally backlogging most of the things in here, and that just didn't really work. And then I stopped filling in like my statistics and favorites, and that's also why I ended up getting really behind with my wrap-up videos, because then I would have to not only film the video on the day but also do the statistics and everything, and it was just too exhausting, and I just stopped wanting to do it. That was my planning system for last year, and this is my approach for the new year. So once again, I will be having 3 planners, but for this year I will be starting with a Hobonichi Techo cousin planner, and this one has a lot more space than the planner I was using, which is just what I need, because some days I want to write a little bit, some days I want to fill up a whole page, some days I want to write collections, and I'll be basically splitting my daily planning between this and then doing my collections in my bullet journal. So I'll show you what this looks like if you haven't seen a planner before. This is kind of what my January setup looks like. It has like a full month calendar. I jazzed it up with some washi tape. I also added in some tabs on the side. Then it also has a weekly page, which is kind of just like an hourly for every day, and then it also has a full page for every single day of the year, like a blank page, and you can fill in whatever you want. So I've been daily logging in here so far, and it's been amazing. It's been so great. I love having all of this space, and I love not having to look for my daily logging in between my bullet journal pages. So that brings me to the bullet journal. I started bullet journaling probably in 2016 or 2017, and I've been doing it pretty much every single year since then. I thought last year I wouldn't be bullet journaling except for my reading journal, which was kind of in the bullet journal format, except not really with daily logging. But like I said, I went back to it, picked up a bullet journal anyway, did my collections. So this year I am bullet journaling once again. So I do kind of have a future log in here, but I'm not going to make this about planning. I might just put things here that I'm excited for. Don't know yet, but I just liked having it. These pages were set up before, so I wanted to put something here, and I'm part of the Coffee Monsters Co. Facebook group, where she gave these little calendars, these little monthly calendars, and I think they're adorable, and I really wanted to use them, so they're in here now. Another thing that's happening this year is I'm starting a teaching job, so I'm going to be very, very busy, so I will not have time to set up my like daily logging, so that's why this is going to be perfect. I just want to be able to write a to-do list for the day and just write down things as they pop into my brain. So that's why this is going to be perfect. This is going to be perfect for all of the other stuff that's in my brain that does not fit under planning. So for example, I have this page here inspired by a few people. So Amanda Rachel Lee and also Lu Teng Studio. So birthdays, wish list and gift ideas, and then goals for the year, things I want to check out, that type of thing. I always end up doing kind of monthly oriented things as well, and I really want to get into budgeting and planning my income and expenses a lot better this year, especially because I'm going to be starting a bigger job now and earning more, so I don't want to be wasting my money. We also have a few things that we want to save for, so that's what this book is mostly going to be for: collections and financial planning. I also have another planner that hasn't arrived yet. I ended up purchasing the Little Inklings Always Fully Booked planner for 2022. Most people all over the world have received theirs already, except for those of us in Australia. So I'm just waiting for mine, but that is a book planner. I will link her flip through. It's honestly amazing. If you are a reader like me, it looks amazing. I know I haven't actually physically seen it yet, but I'm very excited to start using it because, as I said, I was using a reading journal last year, but not as functionally as I could have. So this planner already has similar setups. It has TBRs, it has some monthly setups as well, so I'll be using that for my content planning, in combination with Notion, where I'll be making notes about my videos and blog posts, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm very excited for it. Really looking forward to using that planner and actually planning my reading, because I can be quite a bit unfocused, especially when I get overwhelmed, and I have quite a few things to stay on top of this year. And that is a nice segue into my reading intentions for the next 3 months. Okay, first of all, my book club. If you haven't heard of it yet, it is called the Parabatai Book Club, which I run with my best friend from literally Leia, my best friend, my Parabatai. We run a book club together. We started it in January last year, and we are starting up again this year. We took a bit of a break over December to rest, recharge, and for the next 3 months we will be reading the Dark Artificers trilogy. So in January we'll be reading Lady Midnight, February we'll be reading Lord of Shadows, and then in March, Queen of Air and Darkness. So these babies are thick, and I'm going to be reading them at the start of the month this time. Last year I kind of left them for the last week of the month, and that worked okay while I was on holidays, and then when I was busy with university it stopped being okay, especially when I had a lot of assignments. And this year I'll be teaching, so probably going to be a lot busier with things, so I'm going to be prioritizing my book club books. These are going to be the first books that I pick up every month, and I'm very excited for it. We always have a great time on our live shows, and if you're not part of our Goodreads club, Goodreads group, please join us to discuss the books. This is also a good place to jump in if you've never read Shadowhunter books before. I personally wouldn't do it. I like reading it all in publication order, which is what we've doing so far. If you're not a fan of the Mortal Instruments or the Infernal Devices and you've been wanting to read the Dark Artifices, join us for January, February and March. My other priority on top of our personal book club is also the Braidboard Readalong, which will be starting up for a little while. My co-host is expecting a baby, so when she has a baby we'll probably take a break again, and that's why we took a break earlier, because she was pregnant and the first trimester is really hard from what I've heard. So we took a bit of a break, but we'll be getting back to the books. So we'll be having live shows for Hunted, Tempted and Burned in the next 3 months, and I'm very excited to get back to it. I've actually already read Hunted, so I might need to just go back and skim through it so that I know what to talk about during the live show, but I will also be reading the following 2 books. And then my other like kind of major reading goal, not just for the next 3 months but for this year, is to read a couple more of Jane Austen's novels. I read Pride and Prejudice last year and I had an amazing time, so I do want to read more of her novels. So this is the classic that I'll be focusing on. All of her books are in here. So ideally it would be nice to be able to finish all of them by the end of the year, but if I can just read one every 3 months or just one in the whole year, that would be great. Then I can't really remember if I've mentioned this much on my channel. I have discussed it a little bit on my Bookstagram, but I'm trying to get back to my French. I took French back when I was in school for 3 years, got to a decent level, finished school, and then kind of stopped practicing for 7 years. So I'm trying to get back to my French. And one of the things that I'm trying to finish is Fast French by Elizabeth Smith. I keep starting and stopping this, so I'm going to do my best to just pick it up again and finish it and then put the book away, because it gets a bit exhausting. But yeah, so this is part of my goals. I'll see how I feel. I might just give up on it and do other things that I enjoy more, but for the meantime, this is on my intentions for the next 3 months. I also still need to finish 101 Conversations in French. We started reading this in November on the Mini-Immersion Discord server, and I'm actually hosting this book club. I just haven't actually finished the book yet. I'm a bit behind, but I do intend to finish this month, and then also start the next book. Not really the next book, but he does have another book which is short stories in French for beginners. So yeah. And this is kind of an extra planner thing. This is just my language planner. I don't really plan in it per se. I just kind of make notes. If I have like a little test or something to do, I do it in here. I kind of keep track of where I'm at with things, like the amount of stories I've read in the book, and just if I watch something and I want to make notes. Just kind of my language journal. It's not really specific to a year, but this is just going to go with my language learning things. A few other things that I want to do more in regards to language learning is watch more content. So I do follow a few French booktubers. I love to watch more of their content. I already also follow some people on Instagram. I did a couple of italki lessons at the end of last year, which I really enjoyed. I found a really nice teacher. So if I do have the time this year, I might start up with that again, maybe every 2 weeks or so, just to have someone to talk to. And then I also want to finish watching The Marvelous Ladybug and Cat Noir. I started watching that. I watched a couple of episodes and then just didn't get to it. So yep. Then I also have some non-fiction that is on my radar. I really want to be reading more non-fiction this year, just have it as more of a focus. The past 2 years I read a lot of fiction, which was great at the time, but I'm just more in a non-fiction mood at the moment. So for at least the next 3 months or so, I'll probably be focusing on some non-fiction books. For example, the Gabriel Method, which I've mentioned before in my favorites and books that changed my life. I really want to focus more on my health this year and mindful eating, because I did get into a bit of a negative headspace in regards to food. At the end of last year, I started emotional eating quite a bit, but I've had a few changes in my life and I'm trying to engage in more self-care, and this book always really helps me with that. I've actually just finished it today, but I will be applying the practices in the book as well, and yeah, very excited for it. It's been working well so far. I've been doing the visualization techniques and taking some of the supplements that he recommends. It's not that I want to lose weight, it's just that I want to be healthier in my mind and soul, and this book really helps me with that. Then what's new? I pretty much read this every single year, The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll. So this is for bullet journal newbies and pros alike. I love reading this book. It just gives me such a fresh perspective on planning, and it really grounds me. It also reminds me to be mindful. That's really what bullet journaling is about, and you don't need to have a bullet journal. You can apply these techniques in whatever planning you use. It doesn't need to be bullet journaling, doesn't need to be a blank book. You don't need to make fancy spreads. You can just do whatever you want, but I do recommend trying out daily logging. It honestly just helps me get everything out of my head and calms my anxiety in a lot of ways, and it's also wonderful for memory keeping if you have a bad memory like I do. Yeah, so I'm like at the start of this one, so yeah, this will probably be one of the first books I finish. So I have read these two books by Austen, Cleone, Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work. I've also read his other book, which is a blue one. I can't really remember what it's called. It might be like Deep Work or something like that, although I do want to own that one as well. So these are just the cutest little books. They're really easy to read as well, so I'll probably read them in like a couple hours. It's a lot of art and mixed media in here, and this is really inspirational when it comes to content creation, and I've been feeling a lot of block creatively lately, so I do want to reread these and just feel the passion for it again. This is another one that's been sitting on my shelf for a while, Writing a Novel by Nigel Watts and Stephen May. Actually, I'm pretty sure Leia bought this book for me like years ago, and I still haven't finished it. I always started and then I start writing something and then I never really finish reading this book. But this is something I am hoping to finish this year, and I'm also hoping to get back to writing at some point. I'm really trying to focus on making things just part of my everyday life in a way that I don't put pressure on myself to make it a daily habit. If that makes sense. I'll give you an example. I'm also trying to do the Yoga with Adriene yoga challenges, but I'm going to be approaching it differently this year. In the past, I would pick a challenge, usually the first one, and try to start it on a day and do it every single day, and then if I missed a day, I would feel really bad about it, and then I want to do day one and day two on one day, and then eventually I'd get like really behind, and then I'd have to do like 3 days of yoga on one day, and it was just not sustainable, wasn't good for my mental health or my physical health. It was just bad all around. So this year I'm taking a different approach. I will be printing out every single one of her monthly calendars, and I will be treating each video like a live class. So if I miss a day, I miss a day, and I'm not going to go back and do the video on the next day along with that day's video. I'm just gonna do the day, and if like I miss 3 days, I just miss it, and if I want to do yoga on Friday, I'll do it on Friday. So that's my new plan of doing yoga, and I'm going to be treating other things the same way. Like my French and my writing, if I want to write that day, I'll write. If I want to do French that day, I will, and I won't try to make like a chain and get really demotivated when I break the chain, if that makes sense. So I think that'll be way better for my mental health, my physical health, spiritual well-being, just in general. I also highly recommend getting out of the perfectionist mindset. It's not good, basically not good for anything. So I'm looking forward to trying that out, and I do have a few other books that I will probably be trying to get to as well. And yeah, that's a wrap. That's kind of all of my intentions for the next 3 months. I think the next time I touch on this, I'll probably combine like a bit of a review, tell you how the first 3 months went, and then introduce the next quarter of the year as well. Just see where I'm at, if I ended up sticking to these, if I ended up going in a different direction, what happened. So stay tuned for that, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much for watching. Keep thinking, Inklings. I'll see you next time. Bye.